Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I may have woken up like a few minutes ago. 1 second while I drink some water. Alright. Stretch. Oh boy. Alright, let me give the good morning, Keeper. Thank you so much for the first redeem. Good morning, Shay. Thank you for second. Good morning, Anya. Thank you for third. How's everyone doing this morning? Morning. Good morning, Ocean. Lovely to see you. Good morning, Lilith. It's been a little bit. How you doing? It's always good to see you. Good morning, Moreau. How did that little clay figure of me go? How far did that ever come along? Thank you, Shay. Moxie, you should go get some sleep if you can. I had a funny story. I forgot my Pyrex meds. I took some meds for my headaches, and I was just spent the last half hour being cracked out. The fact that's awful. Oh, Shay, lovely buddy. Buddy, you are a wonderful content creator to begin with. But you are so fun to hang out with and talk to. You're kind, you're sweet, you're adorable. And the energy that you have is just so very, very addicting. I know that if you put the time and effort in it, you'll be able to achieve anything you want. Because you're just so wonderful. Shay, lovely bunny. I'm very happy I got the chance to meet you. Thank you so very much for the redeem. Good morning. So I think we might do some Minecraft. Personal news. Is it good news or is it bad news? All I know is it's personal and now I'm worried. I think we're going to do some Minecraft this morning. I feel Minecrafty. And I'm waiting for my coffee to cool down, so hopefully when it cools down, I can take a little sippy sip and I'll be happy. Good morning, Cheese. Good morning, Cheese. What's the news? What's the news? What do you got for me? I don't know if we have any mods here this morning, but can we shout out Cheese? I'll probably shout out Jay too. I know too many cool content creators. Can I just keep shouting out people? You can't see. Come on, Keeper. I'm tired. I'm tired. That's what I am. Please put charms in my hair. I think I look adorable with charms in my hair, honestly. No. Yes, and it says, I hate you and I'm coming to hunt you down. I have hired 5 assassins to hunt you, and they will hunt you in a sequential order, each getting better with each attacking. You deserve this. Fuck you. I hope you die. Yeah, you know what? That's fair. That's fair, Shay. I get it. I understand. But thank you for at least informing me about the assassins, you know? Alright, we're going to be doing a new world chat. I need a name and a seed for this Minecraft world. Does anyone have any suggestions? And while you are thinking of one... I am not Clifford the Big Red Dog. I am not a dog. But no, I did read it. That's very, very... I'm very excited for you, Shay. Oh yeah, and then I died. Then I died, Keeper. It's awful. Now, before we go in, here we go. You ready? January 11th. Crazy, but careful, and darling but daring, fearless and enchanted, and weak in the knees, swearing. Love shook the earth, but secured every part. Love took all my insecurities and painted portraits full of art. Love was sunsets on coastlines, every romance novel in one, the main character, the best friend, and the buzzer shot of a game won. Love was home on a vacation, blankets fresh at the dryer. Love took all my standards and only raised them higher. Love is sooner and love is later, because love is already here. And when the time is right, love will suddenly appear. There we go, January 11th. From Diary of Romantica, Volume 1, Lovers Forgotten. Gene, name the server. Alright, let's name this world. Okay, let's see, New World is going to be called Skeleton. And the seed is going to be Skeleton. And this is to honor Pomo, who is afraid of skeletons. Yes. Oh, man, I'm too tired, Chad. I should not exist right now. Is there any option to just not exist for today? Does anyone want to exist for me instead? What do we say? How would you feel about existing for me, Keeper? Moxie, do you want to be me instead of me be me? No? Why are you mean? Why do you hate me? Not fair. Thank you. Oh, Anya volunteered first. Anya gets it. Congrats. Ooh, oh, ooh, oh my. Well, that wasn't, wow. I just drank my coffee that I made this morning, and I've been trying to get the ratios right. Every morning what I'm doing is I'm mixing instant coffee, heavy cream, and sugar until it rises into a delicious, delicious frothiness. And then I mix the water in and then froth it again. And I've been trying to get it so that it tastes really, really nice and creamy, and it has been good. But this morning, my God, it is incredible. It is so tasty that it woke me up more. That is... Sorry, I should be talking softer. But Keeper, you're an incredible person. You are kind to the point that it's almost a fault. Sweet, loving, so very, very caring. And you always think the best of people. You are very, very wonderful. And I hope you know I do appreciate you so very, very much. I'm happy that you were one of the people I got to meet during my hiatus, because you've brought so much to my life. Truly. I do really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the redeem. And thank you for being as incredible as you are. And you lovelies, please, please, please go check them out if you get a chance. Enjoy your statistics class. And Ghost Girl, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for the follow. Okay. Oh, already? But not a bunch. It's like Not even close to summer. Not even close to summer. Wow. Not even. Wait. September, August. When is October? What month is it? Good morning, Palma. How'd you sleep? How'd you sleep, my lovely little tomato? I hope you slept well. Good morning, Pink. Thank you for the hydrate. I'm gonna have a little bit more coffee. This coffee is so very incredible. Thank you for the alert, Pink. Hope you're doing well this morning. It goes January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. I guess it... Oh, it's Halloween next month, chat. Interesting. Wonder what I should do for it. Maybe I'll find something interesting to do. Your birthday's November. Good morning, Ika. I love this tree. I love its flowers. God, Mia, how you doing? Man, I used to love it Halloween. Oh, really? I also enjoy Halloween. Well, Anya, you have to come back in, whatchamacallit, you'll have to come back during November and I'll sing for you. Your voice is very nice, and I love your VTuber Karen style. Really? Oh, you're another one of those monster drinkers. Don't drink too much, sweetie, but thank you so much for the bits. I really appreciate it. I love when people do cosplays of VTubers. I think it's so cool. I hope it is as cool as I think it's going to be. Do you post the pictures anywhere, or do you do it just for yourself? Because I would love to see the cosplays. Oh, yeah, no, seriously though, thank you so much for the bits. And don't drink too much Monster. It's bad for you. I am so glad my coffee's good for me as well. Carmia, am I pronouncing your name right? I worry. Wolves, doggies, lovely. Good. Sweet. The way I roll my R. Sup, Spetty? I know. That's actually one of the reasons why I ever drank when I was in Italy. Because the first time I went to Italy, me and my little emo goth boy phase, I was so excited for Halloween, and then Halloween comes around and Italy does nothing for it. And so me and my buddy went out drinking instead. Which was kind of sad. Mangos Girl. If you'd like to tell me where you post them, feel free. I'll even let you link it. I think it should allow you to post. It's so depressing. I know, right? It's like growing up in the Midwest. The only thing that ever happens there is drinking. I college, but all night, stayed up all night and... Oh. Really, Collis? Well, you are in the Discord, Collis. If you want to post about the D&D campaign, please totally do. I think short stories would be fun, and I'd love to read it, or the story section would be fine. And I'd love to read about it if you're interested in sharing. D&D campaigns are so cool. No, we have to kill some sheep, unfortunately. Because I eat a bed so I don't die in the night. Thank you for your sacrifice. Do y'all remember the person who raided me yesterday? I got to talk to them a little bit about their D&D character, and it's very, very cool. I hope to get a chance to talk to them more about it. This makes Lavender die, right? Yes. Let's make a bed real quick. Yay, magenta band. Murder mystery's always fun, depending on the outcome. Well, kind of did that one to yourself then, huh? Morning, Echo. Lovely to see you. If you can do a spoiler warning in the Discord before you post it. Oh, depending on the outcome and how dark I want to make, that's fair. If you're gonna post it in the Discord though, and it is triggering, please just do a spoiler warning for it. It'll be fine. Thank you for the biddies again. I really appreciate it. Oh, well, I'm glad you're taking care of your sister. Alright, chat. I want to try to survive in a biome. Does anyone have a preferred biome for me to start in? I think I want to find cliffs again, but... You think the meds have worn off? Good for you. I mean, we can try what we did last time and see if we can find a little grove of keepers again. But I have a feeling it's going to be difficult. Nice. Mushroom biome? Oh, you would pick something really difficult, wouldn't you? Alright, chat, you know what we're going to be doing today? I'm trying to find the mushroom biome. Which is surprising, because I found it a lot more than I was expecting to. We gotta live on Mushroom Island. On Mushroom Island I was born. If I find a beautiful grove, that'll be the only exception. I'll try to go find a Mushroom Island for you. It may take a while, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. And so I needed, what am I doing? And there it is. At least you're not like Saura. At least you're not like Saura, who decided to tell me to try to survive on the bottom of the ocean, which we did surprisingly well. I was very surprised that we lasted as long as we did. Oh, really? Well, gosh, that sounds very exciting. I mean, anything is possible if you try hard enough. Morning, Venus. How are you doing? Venus, did you sleep well? I like this cliff face. I can make a face on the cliff face. Oh, iron. Right. There's a spider. Oh no. Stay away from it as best you can. Oh good. Fight the spider. Eat the spider. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised I'm awake. There came a point this morning where I'm just like, should I even wake up today? Or do we just not do anything? I chose to be awake. You're welcome. Right. Oh, by the way, lovelies. 11th of this month is when the collab I did with Jake the Voice Par will be going up. If you'd like to see me and him do a cute little reading of the Raven while trying to put somebody to sleep and having a little rivalry between us, then, be ready for that. Should be very entertaining. It is about 16 minutes long and is like a little sleep aid audio. So that should be nice. I did not sleep enough. I could have used more. Thank you for the hydrate. I should mix this drink more. Alright. Delicious. Oh, thank you for the month sub. I do really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the emotes and I hope you enjoy your time here. And let's see what we got. 3. Oh, no winner this time. Nice try though. Go get some sleep. Good night. Jean bunks Jean to sleep. Don't bunk me to sleep. I need to be awake. I have work today. Not allowed. You're not allowed to bunk me to sleep. Kazamore. Good morning, Kazamore. Thank you so much for the follow. No winner this time, but you got really close. I do really appreciate it. How are you doing this morning? Okay, back to trying to find a Mushroom Island. On Mushroom Island, I was... Ooh, that's copper. Not worth anything for me. You replaced me at work. Yeah. Palma, are you gonna do all my IT work all day? Oh. Well, I do appreciate it. I'd like to keep my job, thank you. Foodie, it's been a little bit. How you been? Misty sweetie. Mwah. Kissed her team. I do need more rest. I know I do, but I'll sleep when the time is right. Flutie. Oh, how dare you? You dare do something more important than my stream in the morning. Spending that time going to your classes like you should be. How dare you? I am insulted. I am outraged. I'm proud of you. I'm happy you're doing the things you should be doing. Good job. Oh, well, I appreciate that, Anya. As you should. I wonder how it's gonna be. The longer we stream, the more people that come by. I think I'll always recognize you all in the chat. There'll never be a time where you all don't stick out. No, that's understandable. I would definitely be careful then. Some family members really don't think. No, they just don't care. I feel you, Echo. It'll come. It'll come. And just make sure you're paying attention to it, checking in on it. Don't let things sit for too long. And it'll come. I'll never forget about you. Oh, what's that? Why is it so big? Remember though, Echo, it's good to wait for things, but sometimes follow-up is important as well. I'm confused. Is that where we came from? I wish I had a map. But I love those big hills. Look how big they are. Look at that. Wait, if that isn't birch, I will live there. That's birch. Not worth it. Pick a different direction, chat. Oh, that's adorable. I'm sure it's because they feel safe around you. It's boring. I don't like birch. It's so same. I do like aspens, though. I wish there was aspens in this game. Chat, have you ever seen aspen trees up close? And they look like they're covered in eyes. Oh, I also learned something today and yesterday. But the aspen is the largest living organism. And you may think, like, how is that possible? How is the aspen tree the largest organism when it's such a thin, tall tree? The fact is, it's not a thin, tall tree. What you see above the surface, can I not do this? Oh, maybe that wasn't a thing. Maybe that was part of a mod. What you see above the surface for aspen trees is its branches, and the tree itself is beneath the ground. I'm always in my pretty corner. Thank you, Foodie. An aspen trees actually stretch like over a mile, all interconnected under the ground. They're like a giant creature hiding beneath the dirt. And thank you for the hydrate. But yeah, I don't like brushes. I mean, like, they're so plain and boring. They grow straight up and they have their leaves. Aspens, at least, have their beautiful yellow leaves during the fall, and watching their tiny little petals spiral down underneath them is so beautiful. I go every fall to look at them, to see them lose their leaves. I'll have to find a good place to go this year. Just take a little hike through the woods, find a space, and be surrounded by the falling little golden petals. It's gorgeous. And you should see the colors in Colorado. They are, oh hey look, a village. Not a mushroom island, but it's a good starting point as any. We'll live in the village for a time. Why is it covered in spider webs? Am I crazy? I don't think I've ever seen a village covered in spider webs like this before. What? Is this an abandoned village? Oh my. I didn't know that was a thing. What? Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. When did they add this? Oh, I love it. Hi, Nikyo. How you doing today? And thank you for the recent foodie. I really appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. These ghosts, the horses, the Hanses were abandoned here, chat. That's awful. You ate your snake? Don't eat snakes. Good morning, Dar. Time to repopulate. Oh my. Oh my. I guess. I mean, I'm not saying I'm opposed. That's fine, Echo. You don't have to be all chatty. I appreciate you either way. Weird. I guess we know what happened to the villagers. They got the zombie plague. Oh, map box, map box, map box. Can I take you? I want you. They say snakes are tasty. I believe it. keep a spruce because I like the spruce. Oh, hey, look, a normal village. Did they just watch their neighbors turn into zombies and were just like, hey, you know what? Screw them, they kind of suck. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I've never had bugs. I might try them. Oh, nothing's happened, Moxie. I found a ghost town. But we're not going to live in the ghost town. Where does loot in the villages? Guess I can live in this real town. Maybe I'll make myself a manor on the outskirts. Why are there just two tall, twin, peaking birch trees? Bread. Potates. Enjoy your sleep. I do have 2 pairs of ears, you're right about that. I'm so glad you're able to count. You worry me sometimes, chat. With your inability to count things. Due to overpopulation of the crickets or of people, because that's kind of funny to me if they're like, there are too many people here. Everybody, we're gonna eat crickets. Okay. Really? Does anybody sell the crickets? I'd try. Cricket burger. You should be eating a lot more than that, Nikio. Make sure you're eating enough food for yourself. Crickets is not enough food. Good morning, Mitchie. It's been a little bit since you've been in the stream. How you doing? Nutty. I've heard that. I've heard they're nutty. And I heard they're crazy. Because, nutty. Jokes. You're okay. I'm glad to hear. That's okay, Margot. There's no rush. No hurry. You can be late or early or not show up at all. I know we all have our own lives that we're busy with. Doing things every day. If I expected you all to be here every second of every day, well, I'd be disappointed, wouldn't I? I need a good cliff, chat. I want a good cliff. I don't know which way I've gone, though. Ooh, there we go. That looks fun. I just wish the mountains had trees on them. it's not as big as I thought it was. Chat, I give up. We're going back to living in the bottom of the ocean, okay? I'm getting a tree seed, and then we're going, oh, I have spruce, and I have oak. Chat, we're living in the ocean. It's been decided. Oh. Gene, why are you so slow to respond to things today? Because I forgot to open up my Twitch overlay. Oh, no. There we go. Not too much, only a little bit. Ishmael, good morning. Underwater bridges. How are you doing this morning? Alright, chat. We have a boat. This is all the supplies I'm allowed. Once we go underneath the ocean, I'm not allowed back up. We're not allowed back up until I go fight the Ender Dragon. I have to go find the end. I'm ready for the plan. I should have made a door first. Do I have enough wood for a door? Okay, I'm getting one more block of wood so I can make a door, and then we're not allowed back on the surface. Otherwise, I won't make it at all. But Gene, why are you doing this? This sounds stupid. Because I didn't do it last time, and now I want to. Alright. Take care of yourself. Oh, Mitchie, thank you for the kiss, redeem. Mwah. Alright, now. Underwater living, let's go. Anya, you are a good fox. A good little foxy. You're doing incredible, and I'm so very, very proud of you for what you're doing. You don't need me to tell you you're doing good, but you most definitely are. Never forget that. I mean, you can always request an audio redeem, Mitchie. Also, if you save your points, we're going to be doing crowd control very, very soon. That's because I'm just built different. I'm built silly. Some people are built cool. Some people are built special. I'm built silly. But yes, we're going to be doing crowd control games this week. We're going to be doing both Red Dead Redemption 2, trying to do the story mode, and we're going to be playing Sons of Forest. It should be a lot of fun. And that way y'all have something to drain your points. I mean, spend your points on. Wait, is this a mostly intact upside down ship? Is this an intact upside down ship? I have found my home, chat. I have found my home. We're gonna live in the upside down ship. I do want to take a look at... Where'd it go? Alright. You ready? It's time to be stupid. From now on, I'm not allowed to surface. Or at least not allowed on land. I think the top of my boat is fine. And here we go. Welcome home, Jet. Oh, we're gonna have to let you follow the pirate map eventually. Good morning, Walmart employees. How are you doing? I'd rather my balls not be ham, but you know, I get it. Sometimes they just need to be ham. Jean, you're a gem, beautiful, treasured, and wanted by all of us. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Oh, this is so dumb. Perfect. Be safe, have fun. Frostwalker, carrots, moss block, gunpowder. Okay, where are we gonna sleep? I need to figure out a way to make this. Make a little bed space here. Is the game gonna let me sleep underwater? Actually, I think it might let me sleep underwater. That's great. I hope I don't drown. How are you doing, Walmart employees? Hope your morning's going well. I might have. I don't know. Not that I recall. Can I use a furnace underwater? We will find out. Oh, I may have to check them out then. I wonder if Vania's heard of them. My favorite song recently. don't laugh at me for this. There's a song for there's a guy who wrote some rap songs for the teams from Pokemon, and he wrote one called Team Skull, and I've been loving that a lot. Good morning, Leah. How are you doing? Leah, sweetie, you're doing just so very, very wonderful. You're doing absolutely incredible. And you're so very, very gorgeous. You are going to do wonderful and great things. And I do really believe in you. I appreciate you so very, very much. And I hope you know that you're cared for and you're loved. You are very much appreciated. And thank you so much for the redeem. Do you know something ironic? I know a lot of things are ironic, but maybe not this. What's up? Good morning, Allie. Up to you, to be honest. Oh, that's very cool. Well, if ever my blood needs to be drank or looked at, I'll come to you. Who knows when my blood needs to be drank? I suppose you would. Have I seen the Twilight movies? Not all of them, but I have seen some. Minecraft's going well. I'm really enjoying it this morning. It's going to be interesting because I'm going to need to figure out a way to build something underground. Oops. Alright, here's the idea. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. This ideally should work. There we go. Yay. Based on what you watched, who is your favorite? If you were a vampire, what power, what personality would I want? My favorite vampire is the one with the girl with the short hair. The one that's very like lesbian coded. Alice, that's her. Yeah, but that's just because I love her anyways. She's like my type ideally. And if I could have any vampire powers, I think I just want immortality, chat. If I could live forever and do this for as long as I want, I think it'd be nice. Plus, it's nice to think, that you can do something as long as you want. Try it over and over and over again and never have to worry about failing. Because you have endless years upon years. Hi, Cookie. Thank you for the stretch. God, I felt my whole body crack with that one. My bad, chat. Felt my spine be rearranged. I kind of like this. My stupid little underwater home. Now my bones. I haven't seen it yet. requested that I dub over a scene, but I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I remember what I was going to do. Wait, how can I rearrange this to look a little bit nice? Nah, this is fine. This is fine, chat. I don't need it to look nicer. I need wood. Do I have any wood left? I do have wood left. Yay. And we'll take some of this coal. And I'm glad I helped. My little soda pop. Am I good to help you wake up? I'm glad I can help people wake up. Maybe I'll put a little thing down here actually. I should get a iron pick. Isn't it an iron pick? Can I make sticks from 2 different kinds of wood? I can. Good to know. There we go. Chet, I'm ready. Ready to take on the world. Now I'm ready to take on the world. I know, right? Well, Anya, I'm glad you laughed hard today. Laughing's good for you. Maybe I'll record alarm noises. Make it as a reward. First point, get bees so we can be bees. I think the first thing is going to be able to establish a way to have food down here. I could probably make a little farm if I can find a cave. I just don't know where we're going to find all the water we need. You know, for growing a farm. Have I played Tattletale? I've not. Chad always deserves a hug. It's okay, Chad. We can be bees. Oh, I have potatoes. I did bring potatoes with me. I just need to find some water somewhere to grow with. Hopefully we'll find an underground water source. Oh my god, oops, it is a 57-day stream streak, not 567-day stream streak. Thank you for noticing. We're getting there, chat, though. We'll get there. One day we'll have 567 days. If we do a whole year and it's no issue, I might just, keep going. Mhm. And I would love to be like, maybe we can achieve a world record, but there's some lady out there who started a donathon and hasn't stopped. Or she's doing something, like every time she's been non-stop streaming for like ages. Yeah, she does everything on camera. I've thought about it. I'm gonna be honest, chat. If I made enough money with it, I would never stop streaming. Like, if it was physically possible for me to, just... Here's the plan. Oh, free chocolate. Did you bring me some? Yeah. But, oh, actually, I want to talk about something real quick. There's an old not horror book, thriller book that I'm reading called The Watchers. And in it, there's like some sort of super smart, scientific, advanced dog. Oh, I am trying to hit a cave, yes. Cold. But anyways, in it is this super, like, advanced dog. And I'm reading the book. And in one of the early scenes, the super smart dog is like in the car. And the guy goes, "Oh, I know you're hungry. There might be a bar of chocolate, a Hershey's bar, in the glove compartment." And the dog hits the button on the thing, pulls out the Hershey bar, and like waits for the guy to open it. And then I'm like, wait a second, did this dog just poison itself? And I look it up, and it turns out that apparently during the 80s when this book was written, it wasn't widely known that chocolate will kill dogs. So the author genuinely did not know that chocolate kills dogs. And in later versions of the book, he changed it to like a peanut candy. And then at the beginning of every book, he now added, "Hi guys, chocolate kills dogs. Don't feed chocolate to dogs." And that's how I found out that my copy of the book must be old because it still has the chocolate part. It's so jarring to be like, oh yeah, and the dog went and ate the chocolate bar and he was fine and super happy to eat the chocolate. And I'm like, what do you mean? Allie, have you read The Watchers? Funnily enough, I'm only reading it because, ooh, diamond. Good morning, Amdis. I'm only reading The Watchers because Harry Dresden in the Dresden Files has a copy of the book The Watchers, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if Harry Dresden's reading The Watchers, maybe I need to read The Watchers. I mean, in the book, the dog is fine because the author didn't know it would kill the dog, so I like to imagine it's just the dog's superpowers. Mm-hmm. Cutie. I do think the book is funny though, because like, I know it's going to be relevant later on, like they're building up to it, but they keep cutting to a scene where this guy is like, Do. I'm a murderer and I kill people for money. Yay. Anyways, and I killed this person. Continuing on. It's just so like, he's like, I'm super happy at my day job killing people. Yay. I love they changed the cover, so I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. No, good night. Sleep well. How have I not found a cave yet, chat? This is crazy. I can't believe I found diamonds, but I haven't found a cave. Maybe we'll go to the nether. Maybe I'll build my farm in the nether. It does mean I need to find lava. Like, every time I try to find, like, a cave normally, it's just so easy for me to find a cave. And now it's just like, no. You don't need a cave. Pick your random direction. I'm gonna dig forward. I mean, it's not like I'm digging straight down. I'll be fine. Do you know what's terrifying? When you dig straight up and you suddenly hit. What's this? What is tough? What is tough? Interesting. Hi Goose, how you doing? But it's terrifying when you're digging straight up and you dig into lava and then it just fills the hole you're in because you've been filling up from underneath you. Yeah, I used to dig straight down though. I understand. At least we have plenty of rock. And we have much dirt. We don't have a lot of dirt, but I could probably make something here. We'll have to cordon off a little space. Oh. Well, I'm proud of you for taking the time and doing a vocal cover. That sounds really cool. Super proud of you for that. Okay. I think our next thing, I have heard of Genshin. Hi, Aaron. I think the next plan here is going to be... Okay, I need enough torch to grow a tree. And we have dirt. So I'm gonna need to... Oh, where'd you post it? I'll check it out. I don't hate you at all. I'd never hate you. Hi, Aura. Mwah. Okay, here's the plan, chat. I need to hollow out a massive chunk of stuff to grow a tree. And so here's what we're gonna do. Oh, sweet, I'll go check it out. I think here's gonna work. And so, I hope do we think? 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. I don't hate anyone, chat. I don't know why you're so dead set on me hating somebody. Can't do it. We're making a space for a tree to grow. That's the goal, to make a tree to grow. And so I'm going to keep digging straight down to clear out all this space until we can make it. I don't hate you, Amdis. Why would I hate you? Mwah. I hope this is enough space for a tree. I'll probably waste a diamond pick clearing all this out. But honestly, having wood is more important than having diamond right now. Oh, what happened, Aura? Do you want to tell us about it? Namda, sweetie, you're very kind and sweet and lovely, and I do truly, truly appreciate you being here. It's been very happy to see you here when you'd come and join. And you are just so very, very wonderful. Never let anyone get you down, because they don't deserve to be able to. Not someone as great as you are. You will do great. And you are doing just fine now, I promise. So keep going, keep growing, and things are going to be amazing. Thank you so much for the redeem. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yep, chat, we're going to go waste the diamond. Oh no. Whenever I spawn, I'm going to spawn inside the bed. Tell me more about your weird dream. Hi, Sav. How you doing? How did bro only hit one piece? How did bro only get one piece? What was that? Yeah, tell me about your weird dream, but, Goose. But thank you for the redeem, Amdis. I hope the praise was good. I love having 7TV because I love some of the emotes it does. Thank you so much for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Hey, we just did another sub goal. Oh, that's fair. Okay, maybe not. Hmm. There we go. Where we stop, no one will know. No, Allie, you have to pick. I'm not picking for you. What do you prefer? Wait, what is breaking the rules? Sexism. I really do appreciate the sub. Thank you so much for that prime sub. Write them into stories and make bank with the dark romance girlies. Alright, Allie. You're such a bad girl. Allie, you're such a bad girl. Go for it. No reason you shouldn't. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Make bank off of them. One day we'll have enough space chat. I'm glad you're getting up. Wakey wakey. I don't know. I legitimately do not know how much space I need. I figure eventually I'll hit a spot and I'll feel right. But I know every time I've done it so far it hasn't worked, so I'm hoping this time we got it. Is that lava? I hear the pippy-poppity of lava. Hello, lava. I've been looking for you. Yep. We'll go down one more. Mm-mm. Times you miss gravel. I feel that. Oh, Aura, you would. Arf, arf, I'm such a cute little puppy. Arf, arf. I gotta sneeze 1 sec. Oh, better. Mm-hmm. That's gotta be enough, right, chat? Like, how much more could they expect me to do? see. Boop. Morning, Gibbets. How you doing today? That's gotta be enough space. There's no way that's not enough space. So we're gonna go grab the spruce up top. I think I left the spruce up top. I hope I did. Good morning, shiny whatever. Love seeing your shininess. There it is. It's nighttime. Oh, fair enough. Hopefully this is gonna work. There's no reason this should not work. You should grow. Grow strong. I like thrillers and horror movies a lot. I like, especially movies like Nope. Nope is a fantastic movie. I really, really enjoyed it. No, it should be able to grow with torches. Apparently. It just needs a certain light level, and so this should be enough light. Do you think they... Oh, come on. Let me see. Well, we'll try it. I can't get sunlight, so if it can't grow, then we'll have to find a different source of light. Though I might actually need to do it closer. So we'll see. Nope was a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I'll just keep mining until I find caverns then. Or a mine shaft. Nope. Nope is the one about the weird alien thing. That one was crazy. Ooh, still gives me the heebie-jeebies now I think about parts of it. Alright. I'm gonna pick a random direction and that's mine. Alright, have fun. I really hope that tree grows. If not, we're gonna have to start cannibalizing the ship. Oh no, water. I haven't seen Get Out yet, actually. Is it good? Alright, honey, get your sleep. Sleep well. Thank you, thank you. I always appreciate the lurk. That's kind of silly. Thank you, thank you. Mm-hmm. That cave. Interesting. I might explore the water cave. Mitchie. Mitchie. You are more incredible than you'll ever let yourself know. You're lovely, you're kind, you're funny, you're goofy, and you're just a lot of fun to talk to. Never once have I ever found you annoying. I do really, really appreciate you, and I'm very happy that you found this community. It is better having you in it. I hope you know that. You are just so very, very, very wonderful. So thank you. Thank you so very much. Mwah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dang. Dang. Alright, chat. You aren't. I'd let you know if you're annoying. Just. This is the second time you've said that. Really? I haven't seen the Scream movies, actually. I've heard a lot of people talk about them, and I've seen clips because everybody references it so much. But I've yet to actually see the Scream movies. Go into a nap. And do well. Yeah, you do. Do you not remember the first time you fell asleep, Bob? That's kind of adorable. Mm-hmm. Okay. This should do it, chat. If this won't do it, I don't know what will. There we go. Nice. Okay. Oh. Yeah, but I need to find Bone Wheel first. Chat idea. Idea, chat. Idea. Not on this one, no. I've not run into any skeletons yet. I've been exclusively underground. Mm-hmm. You know what time it is? One, two, three. Exactly. This isn't my song. There's my songs. Did not almost throw myself in the lava. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's another. Aura figured it out. Aura knows what I'm doing. Who called you? That sounds awful. Gotcha. Well, I hope you wanted to talk to that friend. I would find Skelly Bones faster, right? Could get an entire block of Skelly Bones. A spooky, scary skeleton of Skeleton. I didn't want all of them. Oh, you noticing from ASMR? Alright, drop me the idea. I'm excited. Welcome back to being alive. Good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck. Give me good luck, chat. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Wow. This is terrifying. I'm pressing down on the shift key so hard, chat. Hi. No. Effort. I've decided this is where I live now. Oh my god, it's Fortress, chat. Oh, good luck. Look how good our luck is. What I tell you, chat. Only good luck here. Exactly. Welcome to the Devil's Luck. No. Shit. Hi, Lisa Latte. How you doing? There's a guest. There's a ghast out there. There's a ghast roaming around. I haven't had a chance to build this up yet. Can I get McDonald's? Of course we can get McDonald's. We're getting a Big Mac. We're not getting the Big Mac. You're allowed to get any other burger but the Big Mac. Please, you say so. Oh, yeah. Lisa. So say so. What if we want the Big Mac? Well, you can get a new father. No child of mine. I'm in my hoe phase. Yeah. You want a Big Mac? We'll get ready for some Big Sag. Not me hiding from the cast. Alright, you can have a bagel. You're allowed a bagel. Oh, shoot. Okay, chat. Well, we're gonna have to finish this bridge of death-defyingness later because, chat, unfortunately, it is about 5:30, which means I'm supposed to be working on my computer right now. Meaning that I need to. I will hoe for hot women. Damn. Snaps my fingers. When I can't be part of the hoe phase. Just kidding. Alright, let's see if we have anybody who's doing ASMR this morning. There we go, chap. Alright, lovelies, it has been a wonderful, wonderful morning. Oh, thank you for the redeem next. You've all been good. This person is also doing some gaming stuff, so we'll go raid them. And I'll see you all next time. There's the raid message from Aura. Thank you, Aura. I appreciate it. Be a good boy at work. I refuse. Lisa, you're such a bad little hoe. Y'all have a good one. And there's a raid message if you haven't copied it yet. Be good. Bye for now.